And you might hear a little thing and we're off and rolling. So yeah, before we begin, I do want to start with a land acknowledgement. I am calling in from Lenape-Hoking land, and I also wanted to make a call out to an organization that we really respect here at the Service Design Studio, Movement for Family Power, who's currently fighting for Indigenous family rights. And if you want to read more about that, you can follow that link below that post. So again, holding kind of space and presence for acknowledging former stewards and current stewards of the land. So what are we doing today? We are here to learn more about the Design by Community Fellowship and the application process that's currently in progress. So as we go, we're going to unpack what it means to design in the context of this fellowship. So we thought it might be a fun idea for folks in the chat to post, what do you think of when you hear the word design? A little bit about our agenda for today. We're going to spend around 15 minutes talking about the fellowship, everything from timing to compensation to fellowship goals. Then we'll break down the fellowship curriculum a bit, talking and unpacking what we mean by service design and digital access. And finally, I'll hand it over to my colleague, Deanna, who's going to talk a little bit about the application and selection process that will wrap up at the end of November. And then we want to leave around 20 minutes for any questions that anybody might have, both from the chat and if people want to unmute themselves and ask directly. So before we begin, want to give a bit of an introduction. Who am I and who are my other colleagues on the call? So this year's Designed by Community Coordinators includes myself. My name is Abigail Fisher, pronouns she, her, and I'm a design lead at the Service Design Studio. And we're also joined by our colleagues at Phipps Neighborhoods, including Allison Jeffrey, Managing Director of Digital Access. And I believe Kari Freeman is also on the phone. And we're also joined by my colleagues, Lindsay Richardson, Deputy Design Director at the Service Design Studio, as well as Deanna Yu, our communications designer. So that's us. We'll unpack kind of like what our part of the fellowship is in a little bit, but I'm happy to be here today talking with you all about the fellowship. So yeah, let's get into it. When I talk about the Design by Community Fellowship, what am I talking about? So the Design by Community Fellowship is a program and a paid opportunity for Bronx residents to lead a new project for their neighborhood. And this year we're focusing on digital access, the idea that all people should be connected equally with technology and digital resources, especially those that have been under-resourced. This project really hinges on the fact that we know that the community knows their needs best, and this fellowship puts resources and puts that idea into action. So we're going to have 4 to 6 fellows participate in this fellowship that will run for 5 months from January to May 2023 with approximately 20-hour per month time commitment and a $3,500 stipend for participation. I think an important thing to note here is we're not looking for tech experts. We're looking for people that are really inspired and embedded in their community and think that they can help us to better understand what the Bronx needs in terms of digital access resources. So what does the team look like? We kind of talked about this already, but to break it down further, Phipps Neighborhoods is a community-based organization in the Bronx, and they will be providing administrative support, project management, and facilitations of sessions, as well as the physical space that we'll be working out of in the West Farms Van Nest area of the Bronx. On the other side of things, we have community fellows, the people that are applying for this program. So those are the folks that are going to be doing community research, professional development, and really breaking down and understanding what this digital access program might be. And then finally, we have the Service Design Studio, which represents support from local government. So that's where I work out of as a design lead, providing funding, coordination, and access to relevant stakeholders on the city side of things. And I think what's important to note here is really together, all three of these parties, all three of these different parts of the ecosystem are building a case for more community-led processes in government. So services and benefits and programs that are designed with the people and by the people that they are meant to support. Wanted to give a shout out here to our first Design by Community cohort 1 from last year. Our community-based organizational partner was Take Root Justice. And this program had a little bit of a different spin. We had folks that had predetermined programs. So 4 programs and 8 fellows that wanted to improve their understanding of service design and at the same time kind of build momentum on their particular projects. So just want to say shout out to this former group. They're awesome. And if you want to learn more, there's a blog post here that when I send the slides after this presentation, you'll be able to take more of a look on what happened in the first cohort. So I mentioned that this is a 5-month cohort, so I wanted to break down the timeline a bit further. So the key program months really run from the middle of January to May. So in sort of early and mid-January, we'll be doing a bit of onboarding, but really kind of we'll be jumping in February of 2023 with the curriculum and sort of heavy kind of workload then. So the first thing that we'll kind of do is learn some design basics together. In March, we'll have a bit of a research push. So going out into community, talking with people, hosting focus groups. In April, we'll put something forward to test. And then in May, we'll kind of take whatever we've tested and put it into action, an action plan for the program for the future. And then in June, we'll offboard and celebrate together all the hard work that we've done. So 20 hours a month, how does that break down? So it's about half of work in meetings and half work outside of meetings. So every month we'll have a 4-hour intensive in-person design training. So we'll set up new ideas, we'll do work together, and we'll kind of be in community and collaboration during that time once a month. And that session will be run out of the Bronx in one of the Phipps neighborhoods locations. Week 2 and week 3 of a typical month will have around 2 hours of office hours where you'll work with one of the Design by Community coordinators, doing any number of things. It could be professional development. It could be working on a particular skill that you're really interested in improving. And then the final week of the month, we'll have another 2-hour reflection session where we'll talk about what we learned and what we did this month and do a bit of planning for the next month. So those are what the meetings look like. And then additionally, we'll also have 4 to 8 hours of outside work per month. So those might be conducting interviews with community members, doing a bit of writing or reflecting. And that adds up to sort of a 20-hour commitment per month over the 5 months of the fellowship. Talking a little bit about compensation. So this is a paid opportunity. Fellows will get a living and learning stipend of $3,500. There's no stipulation on this money. You can use it however you want, but it's meant to be used to support your participation in the fellowship. Things like Metro cards, childcare, or internet. Additionally, it will be important that the fellows are equipped with technology, as this is a digital access program. So if you don't already have things like laptop, tablets, or Wi-Fi, we'll talk about how we can provide those things to you. We'll definitely have food and lots of snacks, be fully fueled for these like long sessions we'll be in together. And then additionally, fellows will get career support, including professional networking, building your portfolio, think resume, cover letter, a case study of your participation, and other skills that are determined by kind of like what you're excited about. Additionally, I think it's important to call out that whatever this program ends up being, we have $38,500 to fund bringing that program to life. So fellows will take the lead on deciding how that money is used in order to actualize the program. So some fellowship goals. At the end of this, what will we be reflecting on in terms of being successful? So fellows will have grown their professional networks in the government, design, and nonprofit spaces, accomplished a personalized professional development goals, created a portfolio for future job placement, designed a digital access project to benefit their community, and learned service and community-centered design methods. And so when I say professional development skills, some of the things that we've thought about are things like communication skills, project management, stakeholder engagement, strategic thinking, and developing a personal growth mindset. But there's going to be plenty of moments in the fellowship where you will get to determine your own professional development skills and what that means to you. So this is very flexible in how we define professional development. All right. So those are kind of the basic logistics. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about fellowship curriculum. Just jumping in here, was taking a peek at the chat. Looks great. Deanna's capturing all those awesome questions. So I've been talking a lot about digital access and I defined it briefly. If you want to tell me what you think when you think about digital access in the Bronx in the chat. But the way that we've been thinking about digital access is the idea that all people should be connected equally with technology and digital resources, especially those who have been historically under-resourced. And to expand on that, the digital divide or the digital gap between those who have ready access to computers and the internet and those who do not affects 38% of homes in the Bronx, which lack access to broadband and high-speed internet. So again, I think we're trying to be very localized in our approach to this fellowship, specifically in the Bronx. And we had a great question in our first info session about like where in the Bronx. The Bronx is a really large place. And we answered that by saying we will have sort of a home base at Phipps neighborhood, which is in the West Farms, Van Nest neighborhoods. But we do want to think about how we could provide the entirety of the Bronx with something that starts to address this digital gap that we know exists in this community. So if that's kind of our current understanding of what digital access is, what do I mean when I say service design, and how does that impact the curriculum? Well, said super simply, service design is a process for creating solutions to problems with people who have direct experience with an issue or topic. And that's kind of what we've been talking about throughout this presentation today, is that we are building a case for government programs and nonprofit programs to be designed by the people that are most impacted by those programs. So we know that it can be done. We know that that is the best way for that work to be done. And now this is really a program that's putting resources and time into to that process. So the goal of service design and this fellowship is to create community-led projects based on community-defined opportunities. And the training for this program will follow these general steps. So we'll get together and set the stage. We'll define key terms. We'll look at the definition of digital access and say, does this feel right to you? Do we need to change this? Then we'll talk to people. So we'll go out into community. We'll talk with our neighbors, small business owners, other community-based organizations to really understand how they think about digital access and what they think that the Bronx needs. Then we'll take all of that information that we learned by going out in community and bring it back and start to identify patterns and connect the dots. So what did we learn? Where are some consistencies in what we heard people say? Then we'll take those patterns and put them into something called a prototype, which is really just an early version of a program that we could test. That could maybe be having tech hours at Phipps neighborhoods with printing services for a couple of days and see how people come in and interact with that opportunity. It could be kind of anything, but we're allowing for that flexibility on kind of how the community is defining the need and how the community wants to define the solution. And then finally, we'll take everything that we learned and put together a concrete action plan for rolling out a program that is funded with that money that I mentioned previously, that will exist kind of beyond the scope of the fellowship. And just to unpack this a little bit more and to talk a bit more about service design, typically people think when they hear the word design is about how things look, but we also know that design is about how things work. So design is a mindset, a skill set, and a process that helps put people's needs at the center of our work. So traditionally in government and to a certain extent in sort of nonprofits, programs have been developed by sort of leadership and then delivered down to the community with potentially little community interaction and how that service is put together or how that service is delivered. And our goal here is to sort of flip that on its head and really put community at the center of everything that we do, including the design, the development, and the delivery of that service or program. And there are a couple of like key values that we talk about when we think about community-centered design. So we know it focuses on healing and building trusting relationships, putting equity and accessibility at the forefront, acknowledging systems of oppression, advocating for centering people's needs first, interacting and not extracting, creating a learning culture, inviting diverse co-creators, and building off of resources that already exist to understand what's working before just starting from scratch. We were really inspired by Creative Reaction Lab, specifically Antoinette Carroll, who created with Creative Reaction Lab a process of equity-centered community design. So that was really inspirational to us and how we kind of melded those thoughts into our conception of service design, and specifically how that will show up in the curriculum of this program. And then finally, just giving like fair space and holding and acknowledging that grassroots organizers are and have been designers of consensus for a long time. So we can look to kind of historical activism and really see these values shine through and how they've inspired the way that we think about design today. To relook at sort of like and go a little bit deeper into these different phases of curriculum, like what will we be doing at each of these phases? These each align to one of the months. So set the stage as January, talk to people as February, and so on and so forth. So again, at the beginning, we'll be defining the opportunity and problem statement as a team, making sure that we're thinking about this in the right way. We'll do some desk research and informational interviews and start to understand who do we want to talk to. And then in talk to people, that's again where we do some research training together. We reach out to stakeholders and we do those focus groups or interviews and connect the dots. We're organizing our thoughts, deciding what we want to prototype. And then in trying things out, we'll learn what a prototype is and how to do it. And we'll create a testing plan. And then finally, at the end of the fellowship, like I mentioned, we'll take that refined project idea and think about all the ways we need to bring it to life. So that includes budget, staffing, and deciding how we should measure success. And most importantly, we'll wrap up and celebrate. So I will hand it over to Deanna to talk a little bit about the application and selection process.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Abigail. It's great to see everybody in the chat. But I think for this section, we're really going to focus on the selection criteria. So what we're looking for in our candidates, and when we're reading through your applications, these are kind of like the qualities and like the energy that we're looking for. So on the left-hand side, you'll see here, these are kind of like the main bullet points. So this might be a great opportunity for you if you are a Bronx resident, somebody who has like a deep community tie in the Bronx. Somebody, of course, there's like the other requirement, 18 and older, we may consider 17-year-olds with a permit. There are also some other things. So if you have an interest in learning about or teaching others about technology and digital resources, as well as if you're excited to learn new skills and new ways of thinking about problem solving. There's also kind of like a social component to this program. So if you're energized by talking with people, sharing stories and ideas, if you're like a values-driven person, if you're driven to make a change in your community, you're good at listening to the needs of others. And then lastly, if you're fluent in English and then bilingual also might be preferred, that also might be cool if you're talking to folks to be able to do 2 languages. So those are the main things that we're looking for, but then you'll see on the right here, there are some other pluses. So if you're connected to FIPS, that was the first thing that might be a plus. If you love public speaking, or if that's a skill that you want to improve on. Again, kind of that communication, if you like to write, and if you're confident expressing yourself through different types of communication. The next one, if you know about technology and if you're comfortable on all of these platforms like Zoom, which we're on right now, Google Drive, all of those tablets, phones, etc. And then lastly, again, if you like teaching people around you new skills or explaining how things work with kindness and compassion. So really honing in on like that blend of like soft skills and kind of like looking for that enthusiasm to form these skills. Thanks, Abigail. Allison, feel free to jump in if you want. But yeah, this is where the application, oh, go for it, Allison. I see
No problem. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. My name is Allison. And so this is just a little bit about the application. So after you leave this session and you decide that this is something that you want to do, there's an application, the QR code, you can scan it right now and save it for later. But if you're interested in the fellowship, you can apply online at the Design by Community application. That's the D for design, by for the X, and community for the C, until November 4th. I believe that's a Friday. Yes, the application should take you around 20 minutes or less to complete. It includes one short prompt to fill out, either with a written or recorded video audio response. So there's some flexibility in how you submit your response. You can send a voice note, you can do a video, and you can actually write it. If you don't have access to smartphone, tablet, or computer, you can fill out an application at FIPS Neighborhoods offices. The office hours are below. Technology will be provided to you. So for example, if you come in and you need to you want to fill out the application online, we'll have a laptop. We also have paper applications, and the location is 1030 East 178th Street in the Bronx. And I think that's East Tremont and East 178th where they cross. There's a train station right there. And the hours are Thursday, October 13th from 3 to 5 p.m., which we already did. We did Wednesday, October 19th from 9 to 12. And then the last one is Monday, October 24th, which is this Monday from 3 to 5 p.m. So feel free to come and fill out the application or submit it. If you've already filled it out in paper and you want to submit it, you can come in then too. If you have questions, you can come in.
Yeah. And I just want to clarify, it's actually until November 4th, 2022. So that's a typo there. Just wanted to call that out. So it's not confusing.
Okay, so the selection timeline. So after November 4th, right? This is when all the decisions get made. And so we opened applications in September. So that's what, September, October, and a little bit of November. So about 2 months. And there's a 30-minute phone screen, which happens in early October, but that if you submit your application November 4th, it probably won't happen until then, that screening, right? So for those people who started submitting their applications already, we're going to start to have call you for a phone screen. That's about 30 minutes. Then if you make it past that round, then we're going to get together as a team and say, hey, we think this person is the best fit. Hey, this person might fit somewhere else. 60 minutes, then you get to the second part, right? It's 60 minutes of a second round interview via Zoom. So that's for that timeline, we're going to shift it to like November now. And so in-person semifinalist work session will probably happen in October and on. And and then by the end of November, I think right before Thanksgiving, you should know if you have made it to be a fellow. And we're looking for 6 fellows. And so you'll know by the end of November.
Yeah, thank you, Allison. Yeah, these are a little flexible just based on when we started seeing an influx of applications. But the date that will probably be held strong is the application close date. And we'll keep you posted via email about changes to the rest of these dates. Awesome. Well, that's the information that we have. Just wanted to pause and say, we try to be really thoughtful around questions. So if there's anything that we're not able to answer today, we will follow up individually, get that information, and then get back to you. But other than that, would love to have Q&A for the last kind of 20-ish minutes that we are together. And I've already seen a ton of your questions. So I might just jump in and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that if you want to come off camera, you can as well. But I'll maybe spend a couple of minutes going through the questions that we got on the chat, and then I'll open it up to folks if they want to unmute and ask the question. So a couple of questions I saw around sort of scheduling. Can we do this if we're full-time? Can we do this if we're a student? The answer is yes. We're going to be super flexible with scheduling. So once we get the 6 fellows in, we're going to talk about, hey, when is the best time for these in-person sessions? What does your schedule look like? And be very flexible. If we need to do it on a Saturday, if we need to do it in a morning, we'll kind of get to a place of consensus around that once we know the schedules of the fellows. I saw a question about in-person. Yes, the session requires kind of, again, the eligibility is sort of that Bronx residency, and we will likely be having kind of one major meeting a month in person, as well as some other kind of community-based research activities that will require being in person. I saw a question about graphic design. Is this a good opportunity? Absolutely, yes. We think that we might have 1 or 2 of the fellows that might be really excited about doing kind of communications and design. And so I think that that's an excellent opportunity for folks. College credit. I saw a question around college credit. I think we're not able, we don't have any connection sort of with universities or colleges. We could certainly talk with someone about like if filling out paperwork on their end might work, but we can't guarantee anything. It would be kind of like up to your program and what their requirements are, but are certainly able to kind of help you look at that and see. What am I missing?
Abigail, there was one question from Mark who asked if we would have kind of like the future of this fellowship, if we would have a similar one occurring this summer or next year, like a similar fellowship.
Yeah, so TBD, we don't know that. We are in the process of thinking about what cohort 3 might look like, but we don't have any details on what that might be as of yet. Beverly, great question. Individuals working in government offices are welcome to apply as long as you meet the sort of other application criteria. Do opportunities extend past the length of the program? I mean, I think so. I think we're really thinking critically about how we can make long-term relationships with the fellows that are coming in. And again, like a big part of this is sort of professional networking. So we can maybe talk at the end of the fellowship if we want to do something formal, like having a meetup every 6 months where we come together and chat. But I think it's our intention to kind of throw the full weight of everyone we know to our fellows to make sure that they're set up for success and however that looks like to them after the fellowship. Awesome. So I think that's everything from the chat. If people want to either keep putting the questions in the chat or come off mute, whatever people are comfortable with.
You know what? Maybe this question is for Allison. I'm just a little curious if this program was sort of initiated by the South Bronx Rising Together initiative. I'm just curious.
I am not sure. I only know the part that I did, which was to help
Okay.
write I helped write in the proposal, along with the design by community team about
Hmm.
what were our needs. Our new office at 1071, East Tremont is
Hmm.
opening. And so there's a lab space that we set aside for the community. And we wanted to make it a maker space, a place where folks can come in and have an idea and flesh it out and say, hey, I want to be a fashion designer. You can come there and learn and get the resources for being a fashion designer. Hey, I want to design sneakers. I want to design a solar panel for my house. I want to build a laptop. I want to learn how to use a laptop. I want to learn how to use a smartphone. I need Wi-Fi. And so instead of just us saying what the community needs, this fellowship is really for us to find out what the community wants and then to put it in that space at 1071.
Okay. I like.
And
Okay.
so, yeah,
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, and Beverly, to just to expand on that from sort of the service design studio side of things, the service design studio, a lot of time we're helping other agencies think about how they can be more community centered in their work, but we didn't have a project that we ran that sort of lived those values. So we initiated this project and sort of got the funding rolling and are doing the coordination in order to have a program that we feel really strongly about that kind of embodies the values of community-centered design.
Okay. Thank you.
thank you for that question.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, any last questions? If we wrap early, that's just another 20 minutes. We can give you
There are
all back in your
questions
day.
about, the, I guess, do we have access to the recordings? I just want to say the answer out loud. Yes, Abigail wrote, yes, we will post this recording to our blog by Monday at the latest. We will send the link out via email as well.
Yes.
Any other questions?
No, I don't have a question, but I do want to share a resource. Regardless, like I like to just give out information while I'm here because other people may be able to utilize it. So there is something called everyoneon.org, and I just like everyone to be aware. And so everyoneon.org, what they do is they partner with Wi-Fi companies depending on districts, and they provide Wi-Fi for like $15 a month. A lot of families don't know. I've been like the town crier for like years now, but I would like you guys to kind of check that out. It's really awesome. So you pay the company 15 and your Wi-Fi may be from Verizon. So it's like they're like the facilitator. Is unlimited. It's really good. So what you do is you put in your zip code, and how you qualify is if you're on SNAP or if you live in NYCHA. There's certain ways that you could qualify, but it's definitely low income families, but it's an awesome resource. Please check it out. Everyoneon.org. Yeah. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you very much, Beverly. And it sounds like we could work with them for our makerspace to provide extended Wi-Fi, because that's one of the things
Yes.
we're looking to do, to add to a Wi-Fi mesh network that's already being
Mhm.
built throughout the city. So thank you for that. That is very important.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. And I think a big part of this program is going to be doing sort of a survey of all of the different people that are working on this, because like you mentioned, like the resources, and Allison is so well informed about this as well. There are so many people in the Bronx, outside of the Bronx, that are doing this work. So I think we're going to go and we're going to have great conversations, and we're going to get this list of really awesome resources and then think about how we can plug into what's already going on through our work. So I love research sharing is so important.
Hi, I just wanted to confirm. So you said that there will be 6 people, right, for the fellowship?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, great questions.
And I also just wanted to reiterate, the 20 hours per month. Of course, some of that 20 hours is structured, but some of it is also structured by you and the research that you'll need to do, and there's flexibility in that. So to what Abigail was saying earlier is that you kind of get to define and set up your own schedule. There are some points where you're gonna have to come together with us to work as a team. But for the most part, it's there's flexibility in your schedule. Whether you do that virtually, whether you talk to people, if you live in the Bronx or teach in the Bronx or work in the Bronx, we prefer folks who have some type of connection to the Bronx, because you have to know the needs of the Bronx in order to do this. So any other questions?
And I'm just gonna put so this is my contact information. If folks don't feel comfortable kind of posting a question live today, you can give me a call or send me an email, and I can answer any questions you have that way. Beverly, that's a great point. So just to lift that and say that for folks who can't see the chat, Beverly posted thoughts about the neighborhood. Many African and Bengali residents, they are often left out when surveying. I think thoughts like that are so important when we think about getting into that talk to people phase of the curriculum and understanding who is left out, who do we want to talk to, how can we correct some of those wrongs that have been going on when we've been thinking about, or when other organizations have been thinking about digital access in the Bronx. So that's a really great point. Yes, and please apply. I think that bilingual piece is really cool. We also have materials in Spanish and French. If anybody needs those, please reach out to me, and they're also linked to in the various materials that we've been posting. Because I think having those conversations in folks' languages is a really key part of the program. Awesome. Well, like I said, please reach out if you have any questions at all. I'm super available, email, phone. We really hope you apply, and we're really grateful that everybody spent their time and their morning with us. So apply by November 4th. You'll hear from us around communication about kind of where you are in the process. We're going to be very open about that communication. And yeah, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and weekend. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone, for attending. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Have a great day. Happy Friday.